That's a good question. I mean, what do I mean by it's a video first world? Well, I'm sure you've heard about mobile first, and actually video first is very much related, and I'll get to that in a moment. I first want to just talk about mobile first and its importance. I mean, you may have heard it. If you're trying to grow a business, if you are involved in digital marketing, you've been hearing about the concept of mobile first for a long time. When it comes to a website, you want to make sure that your website is designed for a mobile device, small screen first, and then go big. Then create the additional things that make it look good on a larger screen. So mobile first is thinking about people who use mobile, and I recently did an article on that, and I talked about the idea that there are a lot of ways in which you can connect with people in mobile. It's a little bit different than, say, email alone. I mean, you can use email for mobile. Obviously, a lot of people check their email on mobile, but it has to be short, it has to be to the point. And when you're doing other types of messaging, such as push notifications, texting, there are a lot of different ways you can connect with people. But there's also the content creation portion of it. And of course, blogs can be a part of it, but are people reading really long blog posts on mobile? Probably not. I mean, the reality is they're probably not. They're reading the long posts elsewhere, maybe on a tablet. But unless someone has a real interest in the topic and they have a lot of time on their hands, they're going to check longer blog posts later. They're going to read the first maybe few paragraphs and move on. Get the gist of the whole idea. But you know, when it comes to connecting with people via mobile, you have podcasts. People like to listen while doing other things. But we also like to use video. We will watch longer form video, unlike a blog post, on our mobile device. We'll sit there and we'll watch 10, 20 minutes of something that interests us, something that's educating us, something that's entertaining us. Put the earbuds in and watch. Just push a button and there you go. Now, mobile first is a mantra you need to follow, which is why this leads into video first. Because video first is where you need to be thinking in terms of content creation. Content creation is really important as part of your marketing strategy. Again, that can be blogs, it can be social media, it can be podcasts and video. But when you start with the video, you can then take that and create many different types of pieces of content. So you're starting off with a piece of content, a creation, that can be used in many ways. And I'll explain how I do that. And I think it's a good way to go. So start with something that people are willing to watch long term. And then from there, you can use an app such as Otter.ai, which is an artificial intelligence app, which will it'll take the text from your audio, from your video, the audio, or in your video, and it will then transcribe it, and you can then cut and paste and turn that into a blog with some good editing. And that's one thing that I do. If I have a really good video that I feel would transfer well onto one of my blogs, I will have it transcribed into text, and I will then edit through it, maybe add some photographs. I mean, honestly, a lot of times, just listen to this video. It would be tough to go one-to-one, just transcribe it over and not edit it out, because video is much more of a natural conversation. There are missteps. I trip over some words. It's more real. But when you are writing, you can't have those missteps in there. So you got to edit that material for your blog readers. But you can do that relatively quickly. And there are a lot of great tools such as Grammarly that can help you out. There's some tools within WordPress which are helpful that can help you make sure that that is still something that's very readable and helpful to your readers. You can also just take the audio out of your video. And I do that all the time, and I will then create a podcast. But the thing is, you can take that audio, you can take that video, and you can take those transcriptions and take little pieces of them and then use them for shorter segments, maybe smaller posts on Facebook or Twitter. Maybe you can take a photo, maybe a screen capture or just a quick picture while you're filming. Click the shutter and get a good photograph of the scene or of the person, or even have a photograph created during the process, during the production of the photograph. I mean, if I wanted to right now, I could click your camera and take a picture of me. I mean, you're using a DSLR and I just click it and done deal, and that would be a picture of me. So you can do things like that, and you can use those photographs as from the production. So you have, from a video, you have good video that you can cut up. You have audio that you can cut up and use in various different ways. And you have text. Once you have it transcribed, you can use all three of those types of media just from one video. And use it multiple times in multiple ways just by different types of, again, taking a paragraph or a sentence or a really good quote and using that. Create a meme. Use a photograph from or a screen capture from a piece of video and put a really good quote across it, and now you have a meme that you can share if you think it's relevant. So there's so many different things you can do, but what we're doing is starting with video first. Video tells the story, and so much of good marketing is telling a story. And if you can tell a good story with video, you're starting off on the right foot. You have a core story to work from. Now, I often talk about the solar system method of marketing, where in the middle is your sun, and then you have inner planets and outer planets. The sun is your website. That's where you convert. That's where you sell. Then you have inner planets, and those inner planets are multimedia sites such as YouTube and Vimeo, Flickr. There are a number of ways you can use those inner planets, but they're multimedia. A podcast could be part of your inner planet system. Then you have outer planets. That's where you connect. Those are social media sites such as Facebook and Twitter, and you build a community there. Now, in some cases, you can build your community using YouTube or other platforms that are also multimedia sites. But when you're doing individual campaigns, you can actually use a video in the same way. You can use the video as your core element, your sun, and then around it, you can have other pieces of content that you can either gradually drive to that video. Hopefully people will watch the whole video. Or, maybe from your sun you can send out to the other planets. I mean, there are a number of ways you can approach this. But just use that video as your core, and you have so many options that it seems like you've taken, tons of time to do all this. But with one video, a 15-minute video, you can create a week's worth of content that makes you look really engaged, and you are, but you're just repurposing, you're reusing, and being smart and efficient. You could have 20 hours worth of work done in 3 to 5 hours with a good video behind it. So when growing your business, not only does it help you think in the mind of a video producer and telling a good story, which ultimately helps your business and your marketing, again, as I mentioned before, push you off, step out on the right foot. It then gives you a point in which you can create more and build a community and audience around it, around that content. So efficiency, creativity, and just getting out there. You need to be out there as much as you can be. I'm often asked, how often should you post to YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and Facebook? You're starting to create all this other content. The fact is you post as often as you can until quality as well as engagement drops off. And you say, well, I have one video, I have some good content, but I'm not going to fill up all that space. What else do I do? Well, there's some other things you have been doing that may seem to work, but don't be afraid to go back 3 months and pull the content that you had used before and share it again, because you have a lot of new people following you now. So not only that, you're building this library of content you can use and reuse. And down the road, if you have something that worked really well, maybe you have a good story or concept that really tells the story of your company, your people, you as a professional, your product or service, create it again, because you'll have learned a lot more in those 6 months. You'll approach it a little bit differently. And believe it or not, that content, once again, will be very helpful. And if people liked it before, they'll like it again, in most cases, in a little bit different format. So don't be afraid to repurpose and recreate what has been working for you to help get the word out. This is not a world of one-time use and that's it. Continuously try new things, test new ideas. But if you really want to be a good marketer moving forward, you need to think about video first.